What's up, crypto enthusiasts? Welcome back to Why Staking. I've got another awesome video for you, but first let's check out our ecosystem. You can see we have $510 million just on the Ethereum network. We have BSC as well. So today we're going to be talking about the fair launch standard because there's, this term going around, fair launch, and people use it to mean a lot of things. Unfortunately, it's oftentimes not really a fair launch. Wise, however, is a fair launch. The entire ecosystem is the fair launch standard. And so to be able to explain what that means, we have created the fair launch standard paper. So it's just a two-pager that explains what that is. And I'm going to share it with you today. This is the standard for what we're doing, and this is the standard by which we measure other projects to see whether they are fair or not. So first of all, the fair launch standard, it's a necessary foundation for constructing an ethical blockchain project. So this is, it's not really fair if it's not here by this fair standard. Most projects operate on the opposite side of the fair launch spectrum, designed primarily to be cash cows for the founding group. That's, your typical project in crypto. They want to make money for themselves. They're not trying to create like a decentralized service. There's very few that are. One of them would be Uniswap. So Uniswap is a completely, autonomous, decentralized piece of code. And the founders aren't directly making money off of Uniswap. So the people that created, Hayden Adams and his team that created Uniswap, it's a protocol that is completely decentralized, and there's 0.3% fees, and those fees all go to the liquidity providers. So it's all autonomous, decentralized, and completely fair. Now, there's like grant money and stuff that they raise to be able to, form their team, and they're making money in other ways. But as far as the protocol itself, is a fair launch. So here are some things that, first of all, unfortunately, many projects muddy the waters by claiming fair launch with no transparent mechanisms and technical repos to substantiate such a reality. So here are 6 different points that we are using as the standard to what is a fair launch. So the first is an equal opportunity token sale. And this is the most crucial aspect. If this one gets messed up, then it really, there's no way that it can be a fair launch. So ideally, 100% of the supply is auctioned off during an extended launch period to the public, such that anyone who would obtain tokens invests on an equal playing field. That's really important. So your initial token sale, it's got to be open to everyone. Everybody's got to be on an equal playing field. It has to be an extended period so enough people can get in. It can't be just like, one day and, the 100 people that see it that day are going to get in. No, it should be a big launch. It should be a substantial launch. You should raise a substantial amount of money. We'll talk about why that is later. And it should be equal to all. So that means that no tokens can be allocated to the founder, no tokens to the founder, no tokens to the team, no tokens to advisors, marketers, VIP, whales, etc. for any reason whatsoever. If those people want tokens, then they have to buy it just like any other investor. That's the way it has to be. The other part about it is that an auction should be used. The token sales should be auctions, because if you don't use an auction and you set the price for your token, you run the risk of setting the price lower than the true market value. That's pretty much what, like, everybody sets their price lower than the true market value because they want to sell out and they want to raise the money. So pricing it lower than the true market value, that creates big bag holders who can manipulate the price of the market in the future. So it's really bad to have big bag holders because those are basically whales that can manipulate and put a damper on the entire ecosystem in the future. So a successful end result is the distribution of tokens such that no one person owns more than 1% of the supply. It's just like that in the Wise token ecosystem. No one person owns more than 1% of the supply. and that is really the standard that we want to achieve. Now it's okay if there's protocol owned liquidity on Uniswap that equals more of the supply. So we do have a big pool on Uniswap that has a ton of WISE tokens, but those are protocol owned. Nobody owns those. They are basically, WISE for sale, ready for people to buy them. You can just go to Uniswap and buy them. The second point number 2, 100% of profits go back to its users. So if the project has a product that produces revenue, the revenue must go to users and or token holders if there are token holders. So it's acceptable to cover startup costs and or payroll costs from the revenue, but all the extra revenue, it's not profits for the company. It should go directly back to the users and or token holders, ideally in a way that's completely decentralized and governed by the community. Third is decentralization, minimal team control. So, for instance, WISE is made up of smart contracts, every single piece of it. It's a decentralized smart contract, no admin keys, it's autonomous, fully decentralized. There's nobody pulling the strings behind the curtain. And number 4, massive liquidity. So massive liquidity is really important. It's important to have as large a market cap as possible when you start to avoid entities scooping up cheap tokens. One way, I've seen projects claim fair launch, but they launched with a tiny market cap, and as soon as it hit, Uniswap, they bought up a good chunk of the tokens themselves. So that's really not fair. That's just as good as gifting yourself tokens if you're going to launch with a tiny market cap with hardly any interest, and then just scoop up the tokens, and then you market it to the masses after you've already got in. So if there's any shenanigans or ways that entities can be able to get in early and get cheap tokens, that's not good. And that's what you want to avoid, and massive liquidity and larger launch helps with that. Transparency is also important. So that's transparency in the documentation of marketing. It should be thorough, detailed, relating to all aspects, especially aspects that aren't decentralized. If there's any parts that aren't decentralized, then it really needs to be very explicit about that. So governance is also a plus. So WISE governance is actually in the making, but we already have the framework for it. The way it works is that it's not just token holders get a vote. So WISE isn't just a governance token. It's actually shares that are the governance. So it's only staked WISE. Staked WISE that is staked for 6 months or more, and the longer you stake, the more voting power you have. So that means that it's people that have an interest that have the voting power. It means people that have the commitment, years and years staking. Those are the ones that have the voting power, and that's the way it should be. And then lastly, a known team. Having a known team means that the project's founders are accountable for their actions, accessible and identifiable. There are many founding teams that are serial cash grabbers that launch one dev honeypot project after another. In unregulated territory of crypto, accountability is an important aspect of a fair launch. So, and lastly, creation should not be a free pass to be unfair. Crypto is evolving, users are becoming more and more educated, money is flowing to protocols that are fairer and more efficient. The time has come for every new founder to ask themselves if they want a quick cash grab or a chance to provide real value and change the landscape. So that is our fair launch standard. That is our motto and what we go by. We wanted to put it in writing because we are launching a lot of things in the Casper ecosystem, and we want people to know what our values are, and it's going to be really good for the ecosystem. So just a quick video for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, and comment below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.